Hello, I'm Deb Morgan from Not a Rehearsal, and I've got the honour and privilege of interviewing some of the authors who contributed to this incredible book, Revival, Women Embracing Their Superpowers, which is the brainchild of Sharon Brown, the founder of Revival Sanctuary. Now, I'm joined this morning by Aniko Hevizi, who is a hypnotherapist and coach of Live Your Life Hypnotherapy. Aniko, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining me. Now, I've read your story in the book, and you touch on something that touches the lives of quite a lot of people, but isn't always spoken about openly. And it's actually quite important. Could you tell me a little bit of your story, the start of your story?
The start of my story. Yes, it's well, everything started with how I felt, and then all those negative feelings that I was carrying with me started to eat me up alive, like literally, as I'm saying it. And I have had a health scare, and I just took it from there, that I realized that unless I actually change something in me, nothing will change around me.
And do you mind telling us what your health scare was? Because it's quite scary. You know, if I was in that position, I know I would have been very worried. So can you just describe to me what it was and what was going through your mind at that time?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It was the smear test. So I went for my regular test and it came back abnormal. And so that gave me a feeling that I've never had before. It was a fear, but I think it was combination of different feelings. And I already had one child at that moment, a toddler, and I was like, okay, if this is not normal, what's going to happen after that? If it's, what route I'm going to go down. And I continued receiving other tests. I needed to repeat it. I received another test results, and it was even worse. And every time I repeated it, it was worse. And what went through my mind is that I don't want to die. I was like, this is the route to cancer. And I really don't want that, because I looked at my toddler and I thought, oh, he needs me. He can't, grow up with a mother. I mean, without a mother, sorry. And also I wanted to see him grow up. I wanted to be there. And I'm like, oh my God, what is happening here? And yes, it was very scary. I had to use the word cancer, which I'd never done before, because I don't really have cancer people in my family. So it was really far from me. Although I didn't have cancer, but it was really that route, because it got worse and worse.
And you say in your story that, you had to use a word that wasn't in your dictionary until that point. And that's quite powerful, isn't it? But you were quite young at the time, weren't you?
Yes, I just turned 30. Well, just before it started. So I thought that my birthday is going to be the biggest deal, because, oh my God, I'm going to be in my 30s. And I realized that's nothing compared to all those test results.
Exactly. And within your story, you sort of talk about your journey of dealing with those test results and going back and forth for checkups and each one getting worse. And then, there's this wonderful moment where you find out you're pregnant again, but you still haven't had the all clear.
Yes, I had to have the treatment done. We've done that. And then they said, okay, so come back for just a follow-up to see if you get the all clear. But within that period of time of waiting, I conceived with my daughter. And I truly believe that she came to save me, to put everything right, and to change me as well. I mean, she didn't change me, I changed myself, but because of her, I think. And yeah, that was like a miracle. So they couldn't even check, because I was pregnant, so I could not have the follow-up appointment. But I knew I didn't need it, because I knew that it's okay, everything is fine.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, there's this, I picked up a thread running through your story. You talk about sort of this maelstrom of feelings when you were going through all of your different diagnoses and your follow-up appointments. And you talk about your relationship with your husband and how your thoughts were negatively impacting that relationship. And you talk about within it that your mindset was creating the problems. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yes, I used to be the queen of the blamers, really. I blamed everything and everyone for my results, like literally. So, and of course, what we do is, who do we take it out on? Who do we blame the most? The person who is next to us. And thankfully, he's a very supportive and very patient person. So, but yes, it's anyhow I felt or anything that happened, it was always his fault. And if he wasn't there, then it was the next, the person next. It was always somebody else. So that's the first negativity that I realized that it's actually impacting my life in a negative way. So that's what I needed to change.
Okay, so going through your story, you then say sort of you came out the other end and you changed your mindset. Can you tell me how you did that? Because that's quite a big shift to go from being a blamer to then being sort of grateful for where you are and accepting of life as it is. Can you talk me through that process? Because that's a massive shift. That normally takes a lot of years of hard work.
Yes, it was years as well for me. It didn't happen overnight, especially taking responsibility for how I felt or how I feel. I think that was the biggest and most difficult step that I needed to take. I started to research. Everything started with me researching of how to become happy, how to be truly happy inside, not just showing it on my face. And then, because I am a bubbly person anyway and outgoing, but inside I wasn't like that. And I thought, okay, I need to change something inside. And I started to search for happiness. And then from there, I got some help through hypnotherapy. And I realized that it's not that hard. If I use the power of my own mind, it's not as difficult as to study something, if you like maths and things like that. And so from there, because I became a different person through hypnotherapy, it changed me. I started to study it as well. So NLP helped a lot. That was the biggest shift. Neuro-linguistic programming, that was the biggest shift in my life, because that's just taught me to actually take responsibility for everything that is happening, not happening, everything that is in my life, right? Because things will happen, I can't change that, but how I respond or whether react is totally my responsibility.
That's really interesting, and so many people forget that, don't they? So you were on this path of discovering happiness, and you just had your second daughter, or your second child rather, your daughter, and you explained how happy you were, yet you ended up diagnosed with postnatal depression. And you say that, how is this possible? It was a really happy time in my life, but I was just overwhelmed with the goodness. Can you describe that for us? Because I think that's something a lot of people can relate to.
Yes, it's because I wasn't happy inside before, or maybe I was. I mean, everybody is when they are children, but I couldn't remember, and it was just way too much. It's the I don't deserve it and I'm not good enough, just hit me, because that's what it is. So everything was perfect. The baby is like coming out as it's written in a book. Like, she was feeding well, everything was perfect. With my other child as well, with my husband, and then suddenly, I think she was about 7 months old or something like that. It was just too much of a feeling, and I didn't know what it was. And then I've been diagnosed again with postnatal depression. I said, I was like, but I'm happy, everything is fine. Yeah, because it's too much of that, and you don't know how to handle it. And also because I didn't believe that I deserve it, because finally I found what I was looking for, but I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to deal with it and how to receive it. Let's just say, I think that's the right word, how to receive it. I think that's what it is.
So how did you overcome that? Because you've been on this journey of discovering happiness and doing your research, and you've said that NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, really helped you with that. How did you then overcome this sort of almost final hurdle, if you like, to really accept what was going on and feel that you deserved it and you were worthy of it? What helped you get over that final hurdle?
I started to work on self-love, self-acceptance. If I didn't like something, I changed it, but then I accepted myself. So it didn't happen like that again. It took, and I think it's probably not something that will ever end. I think we always find a piece that we are not, that as you're going on this journey and you're peeling the onion off, there's always going to be something. But then once you're aware, you can straight away work on it. So this is what I did. I started to actually work on how to love myself. And then with that, I allowed others to love me as much as I love myself, because this is what it is. If you don't love yourself, you don't allow others to love you. So you will always sabotage anything that's happening, the good that is happening to you. So that's why everything goes back to self-love, self-acceptance. So once you start to work on that, the magic is amazing that's happening in your life.
That's such a powerful phrase as well, isn't it? As soon as you learn to love yourself, you allow others to love you, because the self-sabotage has a massive impact on so many people. I acknowledge that. And you were doing all of this. Tell me, what part did hypnotherapy play in this? Because within your story, you talk about sort of this process is what drove you down the path to becoming a hypnotherapist yourself. So can you describe to me, what was it? Did you just wake up one morning and think, I know the answer, I need to be a hypnotherapist? What was the route that took you to hypnotherapy?
Because throughout my sessions, the treatment, I became better and better, and it helped me a lot. And then my therapist actually thought that I could become a really good one, because at the end I was actually doing both sides, and he just waited at the background like, okay, you're doing it for yourself now, I think you're ready. And I realized that I was so interested in it, not just to actually, okay, I go there and he's going to do something to me, but I actually wanted to understand it, wanted to know. And then I'm like, if this can help me, because I used to be a very stubborn person, probably that's still somehow in me, this can help others. I could help my family. So the first thing in my mind is like, oh, my children will not have to go through what I went through, because I can, if I have this knowledge. And then, but with that came, okay, if I'm going to learn this, I can help others as well, not just my family, my close family. So this was the route. But yes, it's because it helped me. And hypnotherapy and NLP and all this mind shifting work is basically allowing, or just opening the gate to the subconscious mind, where we store that's where our behaviors and habits and feelings are. And the second you can get to it, the change can be very instant. But if we're just trying to do something with our conscious mind, the conscious mind is actually the one that is going to question it. And you're trying to do it, but then it will come, and nah, that's not going to happen. You're trying to change, and nah, that's not going to happen. So this is what it is. It's like the conflict between the two minds.
Okay, so that's the conflict between sort of your logic and your emotion then.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. And that must have taken such a lot of hard work and being really brutally honest with yourself.
Yeah, the hardest part is to actually put my hands up and say, you know what, I'm doing this to myself. Nobody else is. That was the hardest part. The rest, I think, the second I got over that, it became easier, much easier.
So it was that taking responsibility, as you said yourself. You used to be somebody that blamed anyone and everyone else around you, but didn't accept responsibility yourself. My goodness, that's quite a huge shift. And as I said, there is this theme running underneath your story, this undercurrent, that it is about your mindset and your shift. And you end your story with a beautiful message to people. Would you like to share that with us?
Yes, I'm telling everyone that there is a light at the end of every single tunnel, as long as the person takes responsibility, or willing to take responsibility for how they feel.
That's beautiful.
Because it's all about that. It's nobody can make me feel anything unless I allow it to happen.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Aniko. And that's about taking responsibility for your self-care, so your health and well-being, physical and mental, and taking responsibility for the actions you take. Mm-hmm. And that is so incredible. This taking responsibility for the whole, not just bits and pieces of what make us human beings, I think is amazing. Aniko, you've been through so much in terms of the abnormal smear, the cancer scare, postnatal depression. To change it and to turn it all around in the way you have is truly admirable. I'm really, really honoured and grateful that you shared your story with us today. And for people who would like to get hold of their copy of the book, which is full of incredible stories like this, You can get hold of it on the Revival Sanctuary website, which is revivalsanctuary.co.uk, or you can get it on Amazon. Thank you very much, Aniko, for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here. It's been amazing. Thank you.